ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm taking a look at a comedy from 2013. That movie is The World's End. Now, The World's End is the final part of what has so far been an amazing trilogy of films. Very loosely connected trilogy of films, made up of Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. Yes, guys, all three of those movies are genuinely connected. Again, barely, but they are a trilogy. Now, I loved Hot Fuzz, and I adored Shaun of the Dead, so I'm hoping for this thing to be as good as those. However, the same man who directed all three of these also directed Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, so I know for a fact that he knows how to film pretentious garbage. I'm certainly hoping that this thing, though, skews closer to its very loosely tied brethren than it does to that piece of shit Scott Pilgrim. But the only way I'm going to find out is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out The World's End. Well, guys, I am able to say so far that this thing has the same kind of awesome, sharp writing that was in Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. So I have a feeling I am in for something awesome. Okay, guys, I'm just going to say this right now. This movie so far has been really sharp. It's been really funny. I like it. But so far, the only thing it's really been is just five guys bar hopping. I kind of wish that, you know, the whole friggin', you know, like, World's End apocalypse thing that they were talking about in the fucking trailers would finally happen. This right here, guys, is the kind of, this here's the kind of slow boil I am not a big fan of. I'm really hoping for something to happen in the next few minutes to really get the story going, because right now it's starting to drag a little. Okay, well, I asked for the plot to finally pick up, and it did. And that was really cool. Granted, I mean, it still took them far too fucking long to get to this point, but at least now the story is going to pick up, and that's awesome. Okay, those really are creepy fucking twins. Besides the fact that they both just look creepy, the fact that they both insist on speaking in fucking unison is just creepy as all fuck. And the fact that they're robot things probably explains why they're so fucking creepy. And the talking severed head is even creepier. Okay, yeah, this movie's gotten a hell of a lot better, guys. Okay, well, I honestly have noticed this a lot throughout the movie, but I really kind of want to stress this. These robots that aren't actually robots, whatever the fuck we want to call them, these are the most fragile goddamn things I have ever seen. Why the hell is it that these things are posing a threat when a human being is able to shatter their head like a fucking egg with almost no effort? I'm really curious now exactly how in the fuck these things are supposed to be a big fucking threat when you can just punch them and instantly kill them. I'm really kind of curious, guys. You know, guys, this movie was getting really good, but now, honestly, that they want to try to get all, like, heavy-handed and, you know, like, Gary has nothing else to live for bullshit, it's really kind of forced, and it's kind of killing the mood a little bit, you know what I mean? Well, guys, that was The World's End, and the movie ended with a sequel hook. Really cool sequel hook. I would love to see a World's End 2 if it's going to continue where this thing left off. Anyway, why don't we shut the movie off? Okay, well, before I get into the movie itself, I think I think the first bit of business I need to do is I need to mention how this thing stacks up to the other two films in this trilogy. How does The World's End compare to Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz? Well, it's not as good as Shaun of the Dead, but that's because Shaun of the Dead is a masterpiece. It really is. And as for Hot Fuzz, well, Hot Fuzz is good, but it really kind of sort of loses its goodness with multiple viewings. The World's End, at least as of right now, probably this may very well change after a couple of viewings, is certainly stronger than Hot Fuzz. It is really a good movie, even past all of its flaws and faults, which I'm going to try to talk about now. So why don't we start with writing? I mentioned earlier that I mentioned as I was watching the movie that it took a long time for this movie to finally get itself going. And when I say that, I mean the first half hour. Actually, it was closer to the first 40 minutes. Is just five guys going bar hopping. That's it. Well, I mean, it is the setup to them going bar hopping and then them proceeding to, bar hop. So it takes a long time for this movie to finally, kick in and go, yes, we are dealing with robot alien things with blue blood. It's really difficult to try to sum up exactly what the fuck these things are, these fucking blanks. It's really tough to really nail down what they are, because I honestly am kind of hard pressed to even call them robots because they are so fragile. That right there is one thing about the story that I was not really too pleased with, was that these things are trying to take over the world. Okay, I don't care what the fuck we are told towards the end. It seems pretty obvious they are basically trying to take over the world, and they're trying to turn us into this perfect little planet which will be able to co-fucking mingle with the rest of the galaxy. And the problem is, if people are going to fight to fight back, which happens rather quickly, these blanks, they serve really no combat purpose. And you'd almost have to do that if you go to a planet like, Earth, where every single person in the deepest pit of their soul is the rowdiest asshole you will ever see, and is gonna fight back. So we have these creatures, these blanks, these robot alien, whatever the fuck, and they are so goddamn fragile. They are. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, one of the big reasons why it was so interesting watching a bunch of drunks fight off zombies in Shaun of the Dead is because you need a lot to take out a fucking zombie. I mean, you need, you need a fucking cricket bat or a shotgun. You need something big. You need fucking firearms or blunt objects. And these things here, you could basically just slap them and their head will shatter. No, I am not kidding. That honestly is how fragile they made these things, which, again, it doesn't really work if their whole plan is just basically trying to, kick us all into fucking line, so that way we will be one with the cosmos and what have you. Mind you guys, that honestly is just more, I guess, because they didn't want to do another Shaun of the Dead where everybody's armed to the teeth with anything they could get their hands on. So they basically had to nerf these creatures so that way you can just tear off their arms. You can basically tear off their arms and legs the same friggin' way that you would split apart a fucking chicken wing. It's really just it really just kind of sort of whittles down the whole threat level of things when you basically can just punch them and they're done. It's really just, it was just something which kind of bothered me, and it's probably not going to bother a whole lot of other people. And those guys are really it in terms of problems when it comes to the writing, is that this movie takes almost 40 minutes to finally get going, and when it does get going, the big threat is definitely cool, but not really all that threatening because they are weak as shit. But still. But still, though, guys, the story is really solid, and you can totally look past those two issues and see the awesome story with it. Wait, there is one other problem. And it is a problem that also hit Shaun of the Dead. Like, later on, like, late into the film, they suddenly want to get serious and they want to get deep. And we find out that the reason why that, and the fucking reason why these five friends have all been kind of sort of like gathered in to do this whole, like pub, crawls, because one of them has nothing else to fucking live for. I noticed the hospital bracelet. I saw him in what looked almost like a fucking like mental, ward or something at the very start of the film. He has nothing else to live for, and he becomes this weepy, blubbery mess. And then that quickly vanishes for the final act when they finally face off against the, presence that brought all these blanks down to Earth. It really just sort of felt like a really forced thing, and it didn't really have to be there. It really is basically like 2 fucking minutes of garbage that just sort of renders that just or correction, it just kind of sort of lessens the awesomeness of the rest of the film. Again, though, you can totally look past that, because once more, it's maybe like 2 minutes. It's nothing big. So yeah, guys, writing here is really solid. Acting is fantastic from everybody, but honestly, that is because we have a stellar cast here. I mean, there seriously was nobody who turned in a poor showing. Every person who showed up for this movie, and it really doesn't matter if they're stars, cameos, or background actors, all of them turned in a stellar showing. It was awesome from start to finish. The acting here is probably some of the best I have seen in a comedy in a long time. Special effects. Let's talk about the special effects, because special effects in this movie are fucking amazing, okay? Because, well, first of all, we do have the blanks, these robot alien whatever the fuck things, and okay, yes, it is really easy to tear off fucking limbs and knock off their heads, but that's really where the special effects shine. Also, there is one, and I'm not going to spoil the story and say who it is, but somebody gets turned into a blank at one point, and like the top of his head gets shattered off. And you actually are able to like look inside, and you can just sort of see that the head is really just a shell. It's really a cool effect. In fact, I'm going to tell you guys, if there is anything in this movie which is better than the acting, it would be the special effects. Special effects here were fucking amazing. I loved the special effects work in this movie. In fact, guys, I'm going to tell you right now. The whole time I was watching this, my mind was thinking. So it's a film from England, essentially about aliens invading, and it's better in every fucking respect than the other British alien film I saw, which was Attack the Block. Why? Because it has better writing, better acting, better effects, better music. I am going to touch on the World's End's music in just a sec, but I just want to say, for every single person who bitched at me because I didn't like the way that Attack the Block was handled, go watch this. This is how it should be fucking done, okay? We do not need a bunch of fucking worthless chavs fighting off furry, like, alien dogs. Fuck that. We need stuff like this. This was good. Now, music. That's kind of sort of another down point here. The soundtrack for this movie really sucks. There was one good song in here, and it was from the fucking Doors. And I am not even a huge Doors fan, and I'm going to tell you that was the one and only good song in this movie, because everything else is garbage. Because every other song in this movie just sucks hard. And this is especially noticeable when they go to one of the bars which has been turned into a dance club, complete with shitty dance music, just billowing out of the club. It sounds awful. The music, again, for most of this movie is crap. However, everything else, the writing, the acting, and the special effects, all of that is so good that you aren't going to care about the fucking terrible soundtrack. This thing, guys, I cannot stress how shit the soundtrack in this movie was. Anyway, otherwise, guys, camera work here is good, and the lighting here is good. Ultimately, guys, when all is said and done, am I able to recommend The World's End? Oh, yes, I can. This movie was phenomenal. Now, would I recommend a purchase? Probably yes. This certainly is worth it. And if you are a fan of Shaun of the Dead, and if you're a fan of Hot Fuzz, you might as well purchase it, if for no other reason than to finish out the fucking trilogy, okay? And plus also, it is certainly better than Hot Fuzz, so frankly, if you already own Hot Fuzz, you might as well own this, because it is certainly better. Can I say anything else about this movie besides the fact that I highly recommend it? Yeah, and I honestly, guys, am not sure if this thing's on, like, Netflix or Hulu or any other service, but honestly, guys, if it is, go ahead and check it out, and if you really like it, then I would still tell you to go out and purchase it. This thing would definitely be worth the price. Now, The World's End came off the Amazon wish list. The person who sent it in is a guy named Erich. I don't know anything else about him because that was all that was on the invoice when this thing showed up in my mailboxes. Just that it said that it was from Erich. So, Erich, thank you. I really do thank you. I had been curious about this movie for a long time, specifically because I liked Shaun of the Dead and I liked Hot Fuzz. I really wanted to see how this trilogy would have finished up. And because this thing ends with a really good sequel hook, this trilogy may soon split off into its own. I mean, the third film may just split off into its own series. I would not mind seeing a second film, basically going and continuing where this thing ended. I would love to see that. So please, I am begging Edgar. I'm begging Edgar Wright, the guy who the guy who directed this movie. Please, for the love of God, make a sequel. I want to see more. And that guy should be the perfect way to completely and totally recommend this. I want to see a sequel, and I'd like to see it as soon as possible. That would be awesome. But anyway, once more, I flew way off topic. Erich, I thank you, and I would happily give you a shout-out, but you didn't give me a YouTube channel or a Facebook page or anything else, so I can't really give you a shout-out. I'm really sorry. Well, I can't give you a proper shout-out, so I'm sorry. But once more, Erich, I do thank you. This thing is going to have a very happy spot on my Blu-ray shelf. Frankly, guys, I honestly am in a really good mood. I think I'm going to go back and rewatch Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz just because I kind of feel like it. So, yes, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.